Otherwise, it's going to be very infuriating. Let's see if anyone can actually join us, physically join us, and see what happens. So we're now live on Hopper's Motorsport Vlogs YouTube channel for a change. I'm going to see how many people can join us via YouTube. Bit of an eventful night so far. But if you can see me on YouTube, do put me a comment. And if you can't, then I don't know what I'm going to do. It's just a bit infuriating at the moment. Hey up, Daryl. Yes, I can see comments on YouTube. Brilliant. So I can see comments on YouTube. Fantastic. We've got a bit of a backup plan then. If you are on YouTube, guys, or you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, then do subscribe, because this may be a backup plan. But yes, good evening, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, or even good afternoon. Welcome into Hopper's Motorsport Vlogs. I do apologise. Technical difficulties yet again on Facebook this evening. Not too sure why it has happened. Take 4 or 5. This is probably about take 1000, mate. But no, at least we've had a backup plan. But hope everyone is doing well. Yes, Lee, how are you doing, mate? But thank you guys for persevering with me. Thank you for really putting the heart and soul into this, because I was a bit worried, thinking I was gonna have to reschedule. But hey, if we're on YouTube and comments, I can be seeing comments on YouTube, and it's even better. How's the quality, guys? Is the quality okay? Does it look okay to you guys, or does it? Done a green screen there. Turn the green. How do I turn the green screen off? But yeah, I don't know what I was doing there, messing with a setting. But as I say, sharing link on vlog page. Good man, thank you, Daryl. Much appreciated. But yeah, so this is, of course, the emotions of the BTCC. But yeah, it's going to be thereabouts with the picture, and sounds better than Facebook. Okay. So we'll see what's happening then. Just going to have a look at some at 1 second. But good evening, Daryl. Diffon, how you doing, mate? There's a lot of people joining the live video, so I'm not too sure who these people are. Random people, but it's fine. But we're talking about all things BTCC, going through the emotions of watching the BTCC at home, rather than, well, what's compared to trackside. So if you don't know who I am, a Hopper's Motorsport Vlogs. I am a motorsport vlogger from the UK, essentially. We do British touring car vlogs, and we do a lot of reviews, previews, and other bits and pieces regarding motorsport, but primarily the BTCC, because it is a championship I've followed for a number of years, 26 years to be precise. But we're going to talk about the emotions going through what I witness at home compared to trackside, because trackside is obviously, being trackside, it has a real hype of emotion, regardless whether we're watching certain drivers such as Dan Rowbottom. You may hear me mention him quite a lot of times throughout this live video segment this evening. But there is a lot within the BTCC, as I say. So obviously, I sit through. Do I think Robo's win cursed the live video? I don't know, mate. To be fair, Diffan, I have no idea, mate. I don't know what's happened on Facebook this evening, mate. But Appreciate you coming over. Hello from South Africa. Hello, whoever you are from South Africa. But yeah, as I say, we're doing the btcc. If you don't know what the btcc is, it's the British Touring Car Championship. It's a championship I follow for some time. As I say, 26 years. But yeah, diff on. I don't think Robo's win cursed the live video, mate. I think it's just what it is. With with a lot of things. But as I say, the emotions, like I'm going to be honest, trackside send a lot of things skyrocketing. With as you may have seen on the Facebook page, we have there was the video of me celebrating Dan Rowbottom's win at Snetterton, which was the first win I saw, the first of two wins the first proper win I saw of his 2 weeks ago, and then obviously he went to go and win yesterday. So there was a lot to take in. But the win from Snetterton was arguably a big win for me personally, because the other race wins I've seen, this is not, yesterday was the third race win I've seen at home. So there was a lot to take in with that. But as I say, with the btcc, the British Touring Car Championship, watching from home is a bit of a different story. It is not easy, trying to control the emotion, because there is a lot more, sitting in front of the telly for 6, maybe 7 hours watching the btcc within its own right, should we say. And you're sitting at home and you're thinking, well, you don't have to worry about queuing up to go and get some food. You don't, yeah, it was great. It was a great win. This is going perfectly now, being on YouTube. I thought we're gonna have a few hiccups, but we're doing all right. But as I was saying, sitting at home for 5 or 6 hours, maybe 7 hours, watching the British touring cars on telly is a lot to take in. There's a couple of advantages with it. You don't have to worry about dropping a few swear words when you're at the circuit and getting all excited. And you may have seen, if you were at Snetterton, you would have seen how buzzing I was after Robo's win. And ultimately to see all that happen in person and to witness it, I thought, I'm not going to lie, it hit a lot of emotions. My nerves were kicking in every time he was going past us. I was thinking, he was in the lead. I was thinking, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? Is he? And obviously the likes of Adam Morgan and of course Dan Lloyd were catching him at the time a couple of times, and you think, I don't know, Diffon. I don't know, mate. I don't know how true it is, but it seemed like it was a very big crowd yesterday. I didn't really pay attention to how many people were going to be there yesterday. But this is the thing, to see, and this is another thing, when you trackside, your emotions, if your favourite driver wins, you are going through a lot of things, because you're going through what happens if you can't see the rest of the circuit and there's no big screen in front of you. You think, what's going to happen, if your favourite driver loses the race lead, or they have a problem, and then don't see them come round, or you see them coming round. It's like last year, when I was at Snetterton last year, some of the bad luck Dan Rowbottom had last year, and you see him coming round with a puncher, and you think, oh, for God's sake, and you think, well, it's a lot of emotion, and sometimes you have to let the raw emotion out. You can't just be like, yeah, he won. You have to let your raw emotion out. You can't just let it just sit and simmer and go, this is such and such winning a race, or such and such having a bad race. You have to let your raw side of emotion out. You can't just go and say, okay, this is this, this is that. Hopper's Motorsport Vlogs, yes, follows Dan Rowbottom, but to sit and do, like say, to stand or sit and watch your favourite driver win a race or even a driver title when you're physically at the circuit. Yeah, I think it probably, well, if it was like that, Tiffon, then it probably was, mate, to be honest. And it just shows, doesn't it? It just shows that, the BTCC is Britain's premier category, and it's always a championship that people love and adore. Like I say, I've followed it for 26 years, so I don't look back and think, was that ever a rubbish race, or was certain races have been okay to watch, and then some have been like, why did that happen? But it's completely a different kettle of fish watching racing at home, because there's a lot to take in with, you've got the likes of, I don't know how to put it, but you've got watching at home. There's some advantages. You don't have to worry about queuing up to get food and drink. You don't have to worry about queuing for the toilet. You don't have to worry about queuing to get a ticket or getting into the circuit. There's a lot to take. There's still a lot to take in, and I think, given with the ins and outs of Hopper's, of how we do it, sitting with, you may have seen the video yesterday. Did people have to pay extra for the new section? No, they didn't. I believe that was part of that is part of Thruxton itself with its upgrades. If they upgrade the circuit, they don't cost for being there extra. I think it's just if they added a grandstand there, then you probably would do. But it looked quite good, to be fair, the new vantage point going up Wooden Hill. I think personally, if I ever go back to Thruxton, I may scope that out myself. But as I say, being at home watching the BTCC has a lot of different characteristics. You sit at home and you don't feel like you're there physically. I'll be honest, when I'm watching BTCC at home, it doesn't matter what circuit it is. The TV has to go up to some sort of volume so I can feel like I'm there. But at the end of the day, you've got, there was some great racing yesterday. We'll go on about certain bits yesterday. Just obviously, yet again, there was still 3 support races on the token package yesterday, which, so there's going to be a new campsite as well. So there's going to be 2 campsites at Thruxton. It seems like they're trying to upgrade it, and it's a good thing. They've got that new media centre, haven't they? They've got, they're trying to improve the facilities, because I think, given Thruxton back in the day, yeah, it's a great circuit, but I'll be honest, it needed a lot of work on it, and it is what it is, But as I was saying, being trackside, witnessing, like I said, witnessing Dan Rowbottom's win at Snetterton was a real. I'll be honest, it is a nerve-wracking experience, because yes, he's a guy I look up to. Yes, he's a guy I support in the British touring cars. But when you see your favourite driver win in person, you think, my gosh, and if it's the first ever one you've ever seen as well, there's a lot of nerves going through, pumping through your system. You feel like your heart's skipping a beat. You feel like, you're going to break down into not break down into a nervous breakdown, but you're going to break down into a huge wave of emotion. Yeah, there was new metal fencing on the pit wall. It was new for this week, this year. Obviously, I don't know what the reason is behind that, but it is what it is, isn't it? And obviously, the pit garages are so small and so narrow, you can't even work on them. They have to have awnings, so there's a lot to take in with that as well. But like I was saying, you witnessed Robo winning at Snetterton, and I'll be honest, there was a lot of things going through my mind. Was he going to win? Was he going to push on? It reminds me of old Mondello Park before they put the new pit garages in. Trucks need new pit garages. Yeah, there's a lot of things that Thruxton does need. I'm going to be honest. We'll discuss this in another live video, maybe in the next couple of months. We'll discuss what the likes of what circuits need and potentially what they can do to improve. It's not to say any circuit's crap or rubbish, but it is there. But like I say, witnessing your favourite driver win for the first time, well, not win for the first time, but you witnessing a first win goes through a lot of emotions. And yes, yesterday, watching Robo win race 3 yesterday at home, there was a time you may have seen the videos on our social media platforms where we obviously, there was me and Jen obviously watching it. Daryl, that's a good question. I'll answer that in a minute. But watching Dan's race win yesterday at home was a really weird feeling. It felt like I wish I was there to get 2 wins. And as I said on that video, 2 wins from 2 boy get in, because it's the first time he's had a double race win in the btcc as well. So if you think about that, first double race wins back to back. Okay, it wasn't back to back race wins yesterday, but race 2 at Snetterton 2 weeks ago and then race 3 yesterday, it's the first time he's done that. And to get into P3 of the championship is already fantastic anyway. He's proving a point, and it just shows that, yes, after a difficult winter with his open heart surgery and all that, and then getting back into full fitness, it just showed exactly what was ongoing. But it showed a lot of things. And exactly, Lee, that's the next thing I was about to say. The circuit, the atmosphere at the circuit is 10 times better than watching at home. I'll be honest, watching at home sometimes makes me feel a bit like I wish I was there. Sometimes you can't help that, but then it was a lot of things. But there would be a lot to take in. Being trackside is so much better than being at home. Because if you're at home, there is some advantages and disadvantages. At home, you don't feel like you're there. Whereas being trackside, it's miles better. Going to Daryl's question, what one thing would I improve at Snetterton? It's a good question, mate. I don't really know. I think I'd probably say a bit more to the side of probably, I don't know. It's hard to pick of an answer for this, but I think personally, I wouldn't say there's anything I want to improve massively, but a bit more cover if it decided to rain, because there's certain places where you're out in the open at the bomb hole, and yes, you've got the grandstand, but a bit more cover out toward a bit more shelter, I think, is what I'd probably say. But I'm not in charge. I'm not MSV. I'm not Jonathan Palmer, am I? So he does deal with MSV, but I'd say a bit more cover if it was horrible weather. But then again, it's all down to costing. Diffon, I was happy to see Ash's win trackside, and I've been trackside for all of his 3 race wins this year. See, that's the thing, being there for all 3 of his race wins, it just shows, doesn't it? It's a magical feeling, when your favourite driver or your favourite team win a race. We'll take Mikey Doble, for example. As I think, apart from Tyrrell's, there's no literally shelter at the end. There isn't. Unless you go and hide in someone's pit garage for like an hour or 2 while it pisses it down. But no, but like I say, with Diffon, being trackside, witnessing race wins is fantastic. Take Mikey Doble, for example, winning race 3 at Snetterton. You wouldn't have written that a couple of months ago. Yes, after getting P2 at Alton Park in race 3 last year, only to be beaten by Jake Hill. It just shows that anyone can win a touring car race this year. And I'll be honest, there is a few things that I was a bit disappointed with yesterday. And this is the first time I've been feeling a bit disappointed. And it often makes you wonder certain things. I'm not going to go on and on about it, but there's a few things that were a bit disappointing. But you know, we know BTCC is rough and tumble, and we know things do happen. But as you know, yeah, the tyre stacks were gone yesterday and over the weekend. I'm going to be honest, Lee. Getting rid of tyre stacks was the right thing. I'm straight up is the right thing because over the last couple of years, tyre stacks have been proven to destroy the cars. Look, take Donington Park GP for example. Last year, destroying Dan Rowbottom's car, and then destroying, um, you know, you know, with and then Andrew Watson's Toyota Gazoo Corolla got clattered into the tyre bundle last year. It could potentially ruin a car. It's a solid object, and if a car bounces off that and another car is unsighted, it's unthinkable, isn't it? Diffan, it looked like Ash had a rear wheel drive. The way he jumped everyone in the front of him, by the exit of pit lane. Yeah, that start yesterday. Where did that come from? Where the heck did that come from? It looked like he had a rear wheel drive Focus and not a bloody front wheel drive. But yeah, it was a great start. I was quite impressed with that, to be fair. But the thing is, this is the thing, isn't it? I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna, I don't like naming and shaming, bad driving and stuff like that. But you know, there's a lot of there was a lot of things yesterday. Well, a few things that I wasn't happy with. With the likes of, you know, seeing, you know, I don't want to, burn bridges and stuff like that. But the likes of Jake Hill, yes, he apologised to Ash Sutton in race 3 after race 3, but he clipped the grass, but it was very unfortunate for that to happen. But he got penalised for that. He also got penalised in, was it race 2? He got penalised in with having the likes of an issue with someone else. And I'll be honest, you can't just I don't know. It's hard to explain, but okay, Jake's tried to fight. Is still trying to fight for this second championship, but he's had too many costly mistakes now so far this season. And I don't, I'm not trying to say he's a bad driver, but some of the mistakes he made yesterday and a couple of things gone wrong at Snetterton. The BMW. It seems the BMW is struggling. They're saying the BMW is struggling at the moment. But if the car's struggling, don't always try and blame try and blame the car if you've made a mistake. It could have easily took out Ingram. It could have easily been a lot worse. But it is what it is, and obviously, Jake needed to really think about, what's he going to do? Because come the summer break driver ratings, I've got to rate the drivers. And it's going to be a very difficult / probably hard summer break driver ratings come the end of this month. And I don't want to jump on and say, oh, Jake Hill's this, he's I'm surprised by this, and I've got to be honest with the driver ratings, and I've got to now try and write my driver ratings ready for, or make some notes about the driver ratings, and then do it as a live video. I think, well, this is another thing, Lee. This is another thing. I'm going to be honest, Max Hall, I don't want to be negative. As I say, I hate being negative, but I was a bit concerned about the way things were looked at with him. there's been a few issues this season where, take for example, look at Brands Hatch between him and Dexter Patterson, and it nearly ended up them pushing and shoving it. Well, it ended up them pushing and shoving each other, didn't it? And then he took, yes, he couldn't slow down on the grass at Snetterton, but ultimately, took out Gordon Shedden, which probably was no mean feat, but Gordon wouldn't have seen it like that. He would have been like, oh, you went on the grass, potentially took me out of a race, And then yesterday with Sam Osborne, it just seems that, he wants to make or break into touring cars. Okay, he's got big shoes to fill because he's the youngest driver on the grid, but it's not one make. It's a championship where it's 30 races long. Anything can happen and anything will happen, but he needs to get himself, like you say, Lee, he needs to get himself together. But he really needs to realise, this is the school of hard knocks. It's not just pushing on. And yes, he did push Gordon Shedden off at Donington. And, I'm not always negative, but I feel, something needs to really be looked at. Yeah, and this is the thing. This I'm going to be honest. The driving standards by some people. People say, "Well, it's touring cars." You're going to get some drivers pushing and pushing. He had Jake had contact with Adam Morgan in race 2, and then he had contact with Adam Morgan again in race 3, and also took got 2 penalty points with the contact with Adam Morgan in race 3, and then also another one with Ash Sutton. You think you would realise stuff like that. You take it on the chin when you get your first warning. You don't carry on and drive like an idiot, do you? But this is the thing. I worry. Like, yes, BTCC is known for rough and tumble racing, but look at Max Verstappen in Formula One. He's 1 point away with his issues that he's close to getting a race ban. So really, there's a lot to take in, and I worry, But it just seems, there's. I don't want to be, completely, slating drivers, but to see Jake get reprimanded and then 2 penalty points and then another 2, you think he'd be like, you can't just say, "Oh, I'm having a bad weekend and the car's doing crap this year," so, but like I say, it could have ended a lot nastier when he took out Ash yesterday, because like I say, it could have collected Tingram and it could have been a lot worse. But the thing is, Jake knows how to race and win championships. He doesn't need to do stupid things like that. That's all I'm saying. He could be a good driver if he relaxes himself and uses this year to bed himself in, not to go in every race like a bull in a china shop. Yeah, that's the thing, though, Lee. With going back to Max Hall, he needs to realise if he wants to make or break the beat into the BTCC and get prove a point, he needs to remember it's not a one make championship. It is, BTCC is the holy grail of British motorsport. But yeah, it is what it is. Even though I was trackside yesterday, I watched race 3 from the first corner in front of the big TV screen. I didn't even see him make contact with Adam, unless in race 3, unless I missed that part. I don't know. I don't know where it happened, Diffan. I don't know whether it was in. There was a lot to take in. With some of the stuff yesterday. It's like, Daryl DeLeon that got penalised by Toka yesterday, or by the stewards yesterday, for having an issue with Ronan Pearson that ended up collecting Charles Rainford as well. But there's a lot of things with certain drivers that are coming into the championship or been in for a long time, yes, we get driving standards are going to be, excuse me, just bear with me one sec. There we go, I can have it a bit brighter now. But yeah, it seems to be somewhat or another, doesn't it? But I don't want to say, you know, the drivers that I've mentioned are very bad, but they are going to make mistakes. But people do when they come into the BTCC and are the first time racer, they need to learn that if you carry on making mistakes, teams are going to look at this and notice and think, well, hang on, we don't want you in a car. What? Max Hall didn't even race 3 yesterday and never said why. Maybe the car was still badly damaged from race 1, but really, it seems there's a lot to take in with it. And it is what it is, though. The BTCC is it is a tough game. It is not the ins and outs of going, this is this. We're not in one make mini JCWs anymore, or British F4, or Porsche Carrera, or Porsche Sprint Challenge. We're in fighting for championships and stuff like that. And yeah, this is another thing. I'm going to be honest. When race 3 was getting restarted, they missed the restart because it went straight to an ad break. Was Moffat racing yesterday? Yes, he was. Aidan was racing yesterday, yes. But we didn't see much of him. But there was a lot of... The thing is, this is what I'm going to say. ITV went to a break during the safety car, and then as soon as the race restarted, it came back just after the restart. So, what went on there? I'm going to be honest. I hate to say this, and this is what annoys me about the BTCC. If it's live on telly, you should be live on telly. Just do the ad breaks during when the cars go to the grid. Or or you catch it, or you letting people catching people. People are catching up with, in between races. But the thing is, it's a lot to take in. But I don't know. It's hard to explain about this. But I'm gonna swap hands a minute because my hand's going to sleep. But yeah, like I say, Aidan was racing yesterday, but we didn't see much of him. But is what it is. But yeah, any other questions or anything else you want to know, guys? But yeah, so like I say, the atmosphere changes at home, doesn't it? You watch it on telly and you get a bit frustrated about things not being right, like they go to adverts during a safety car and such forth. But anything else you want to ask, guys, put it in the comments. But thank you for tuning in, by the way. Thank you for sticking with me this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure so far. Probably not going to be live for an hour because it probably won't go to an hour, but it's been great. Yeah, Josh Cook did very well, didn't he? Considering that shunt in qualifying. I'm going to be honest. It wasn't nice to see. He ended up going to A&E because he hurt his ankle, and the Token medical team said, "Get yourself to A&E and get it checked out." It just shows. Yes, that the guys that have been in BTCC for a long time have had massive shunts. He's probably going to think, after that. But it is what it is. And I do feel sorry for Josh Cook having that massive shunt. He did well to get P3 in, was it race Did he get the podium in race one? I can't remember. He did, didn't he? Did he get P3 in race one? And then he was going to get P3 in race two, and then I can't remember. Can't remember what most of the result. Well, I can, but I'm trying to remember. But yeah, and then he got disqualified, failed the ride height in race two, which then gifted Robo P3. So, and then Robo goes and wins race three. So there is a lot of things. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he got third in race one. Of course he did. Yeah, of course he did. Of course he did. He got third. He got third in race one. Yes, he did. I couldn't remember that far back. Of course I can. Daryl. I'll read Diffan's comment first. Max Hall's engine had a hole in it, and I think the gearbox needed to be put and to put a new gearbox in would be £10,000 cheaper to put a new one back in at base. That's why he wasn't out in race two or three. Okay, that answers it then. That answers it. But it's a big shame for Max Hall because you know he needs to learn his racecraft in BTCC. He's not a bad kid. He's not a bad racer, but he just needs to learn a bit. Touring cars is a big thing to step up into. Big shout out also to Paul Nick Halstead. Hopefully everything will be okay and he returns to Alton Park. Yeah, a bit of an odd one. Did FP1 Saturday morning and then had a rib injury. He's not really gone into details about it, which was not racing related or anything related. It just all of a sudden happened and then sat out the rest of Saturday and then didn't race yesterday. He's meant to be racing at Le Mans this weekend. He's adamant that he'll be fit enough to go and do that. If I was him, and no disrespect, Nick, if you watch this, I wouldn't do it because you want to concentrate getting ready for Alton Park next week. Fair enough, the racing drivers in the run on adrenaline, but it is what it is. Daryl, you've done so well. It was worth coming on YouTube. It is what it is, mate. You've got to make sometimes. Sometimes you've got to make quick decisions like that, especially when your main social media platform lets you down. But anyway, never mind. We got through it. We're getting through it. And I'm glad I've done the right thing. Going on to here to give you guys the ins and outs, and it's what it is. But yeah, any other questions, guys, or anything else you want to know? But by the way, this is the only live video this week, and it's great that I went live on here this evening. It's not the first time we went live on YouTube, but it seems to work. It seemed to have worked all right. So quite happy with that. Anything else you want to ask, guys? Feel free. But yeah, so I feel sometimes the atmosphere at home changes. Perception about things, and it is what it is. Senna Proctor had a great weekend. He did. He had a great weekend to be returning the championship. It's just a shame some of the results. Well, one of the races didn't go to plan for him, but he seemed to do very well. Coming back into the BTCC. Could have done it Friday with my twin. Leave Nathan out of this, Diffon. So what's the plan for next week? So next week then, next week I'm going to be live Monday, Thursday, Friday. So you'll get 3 live videos next week. I've decided you get 3 live videos next week. So Monday, I can't remember what the subject is, but I'll double check it for Monday. Thursday is probably going to be an extra live video, but I'm not sure what the subject will be. That might just be a catch up with the community. And then Friday next week is BTCC Alton Park preview and a Thruxton review. So we'll dissect everything from Thruxton and we'll preview Alton Park all in one live video. and it's also the last one before the summer break, of course. Will I be back on Facebook or YouTube? Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be back on Facebook. Hopefully, we'll be back on Facebook. Um, I'm hoping we'll be back on Facebook. I'm going to try and do a live video update. I'll try and do a live video update this week. Probably, probably try and do a live video update tomorrow morning if I get time. Because I've got stuff to sort out for the next couple of weeks. But hopefully, touch wood, we'll go back on Facebook. If not, then we'll be onto here. Um, it just, it's just a shame that I couldn't see any comments. Here's what it is. I could see people were commenting and reacting, but it just seems to be a bit weird at the moment. But obviously, I wouldn't stress too much. It's just probably how it is, and it just plays silly buggers. But as I say, we'll still try and push on with a lot of things because I want ideally I don't want to keep chopping and changing platforms, but when you've got a backup and you've thought of a backup plan, maybe I should have just gone right. Just going to go straight onto our YouTube channel. Piece of cake, but it is frustrating half the time because everyone follows you on social media, and this is it's YouTube's great, but you've got to be careful, with what's around. But it seemed to be all right, didn't it? But anything else you want to know, guys, just stick it in the comments by all means. But yeah, as I say, we've only got a couple more weeks to go until the first half of the season is finished. Do I have any more plans to attend any more BTCC weekends? At the moment, no. Straight up, no. Ideally, I'd love to attend Alton Park next weekend. Well, not this weekend, but next weekend. But I haven't. I haven't made any plans. So at the moment, there's no other plans to attend any other BTCC events or any other race events at the moment. All depends on work at the moment. Jen's doing all right, mate. She's in the bedroom at the moment, but she's doing well. She got a bit emotional when Dan won yesterday, to be fair, because she said she couldn't look or she couldn't watch when or couldn't do it on the lines of Jen's emotion yesterday. But she's doing all right, mate. She's not too bad. But yeah. But things are, as I say, I'm glad I've been here. If anyone is wondering who Jen is the lifeline of Hoppers Motorsport Vlog. She's the nearest and dearest. Helps me out a lot of ways. Yes, Lee, yes. I was going to mention that the other day. Those who know Lee Lannon, he does a page with his other half, Lisa, on Facebook called the Rally Ranch Hangout. Lee was our guest in February, one of our 4 guests in February. He's now got the Rally Ranch registered, so he needs to sort that out. But massive congratulations getting that approved. We were mega proud of you when I saw that got announced last week. So yeah, do check out the Rally Ranch Hangout on Facebook. Do go and check it out. It's a little project in Cardiff. So, and Lee's talked about it on our page. But yeah, anytime, mate. I told you it'd all come good, mate. I did tell you. I had my fingers crossed, had everything crossed, and and hoped things went well. Anyway, any other questions or anything else you want to know? Stick it in the comments. It's still pouring it down with rain out there. As Jen starts to sneeze, bless her. But yeah, so as I say, this is the only live video this week. I do apologise for it being the only one as well. But I'm forever grateful that things have worked out well. And I've had members of the community join us from over there to over here. Thank you for sticking by me. I was a bit frustrated, as you can tell. But I'm really grateful for everyone being here. Um, what else was I going to say? I can't even remember. But yeah, so we've got a couple more weeks till our live videos. We'll do another live when it's fully up and running. Um, might do a live from HQ, get you down for the weekend later in the year, mate. I'm more than happy to jump on a train if I have to. Jump down on a train and come see you. If I don't see you later on in the year, I'll definitely make plans to come down in the next year. You know, I'm more than happy to, go and see what you guys are doing down there and give you probably do a vlog myself while I'm down there. So yeah, more than happy to help you out if I can, and hopefully I'll try and get you recognition on the vlog page more. I've got hair in my nose. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm not pulling a bogey. I've got hair up my nose. But yeah, so I'm more than happy to support friends in need. You know, I'm not here to watch my community suffer because my community are top class people. But yeah, anything else you want to ask, guys, stick it in the comments. I will stay till past, so we may get the hour in, or may just under an hour. But as I say, um, thank you for persevering this evening. It means a lot when people understand that I hate technical difficulties. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good at the moment as well. You know, I know I've had a few rocky moments where I've been stressed about work and such. Don't worry about me. It is what it is, you know. But as I say, turns out my shifts aren't going to be affected. The only time it's going to be affected is Saturday and Sundays. But that's about it. So I don't need to stress. But it's all part of work, I suppose. But yeah, so if you got anything else to ask me, do. If you haven't, then you can listen to me waffle. But no, I appreciate everyone being here. Um, as I say, we've got a lot. Yeah, it is great news. It's just like I say, I do apologise if I didn't see myself for a couple of times. But like I say, it's just part of my job at the moment with the company being taken over. There's a lot of things ongoing. And it is stressful times. But I'm trying not to think about it. I've got you guys, I've got the community, I've got the live videos, I've got Jen, and I've got my mates and everything. That everyone seems to you know look after me anyway. So it is what it is. And I'm going to be honest. I couldn't do these live videos without you guys anyway. If this is another thing, this isn't my day to day job. If this was my day to day job, I'd be live 7 days a week. But you'd get sick of me. No, you wouldn't. But no, in all seriousness, I'm feeling pretty good, feeling pretty confident at the moment, feeling pretty myself. There is times where I look at it and I think, nah, I'm not feeling myself because you know, things are playing on my mind. But I've got you lot, supporting us, helping us out with live videos. Dear fun, if you do Croft this year, don't bully me saying, "Oh, where are you?" I might not be going to Croft anyway because my mum's meant to be coming up for the weekend. I've not seen my mum for a few years, so I don't think I'll be going to Croft, mate. And speaking of Croft, UKTCR are over there this weekend, and Will Butt's over there with the Civic Cup, and I'm working Sunday. But it is what it is. I have to work. Can't get out of it. Can't get out of work on a Sunday. And then I'm in Manchester on Saturday anyway. I'm having a day out in Manchester on Saturday. But hey, it's all right. I saw Will at Snetterton for btcc, so that's all good. Don't need to worry about meeting new people. Hey, meeting new people is all good though. Don't get me wrong. But if you ever meet me, you'll see exactly how I am. A down to earth guy. I'm never shy. Wish they brought the rallycross back to Croft. Mate, that would be incredible. No worries, Diffan. Thank you for tuning in, my friend. Thank you for being here. Thank you for persevering, mate. Always good to have you in the community. You know that, pal. And yes, Lee, I wish they did bring the Rallycross back to Croft. I think it would be epic if they did. Be good if they did. They do a couple of car rallies over there. Mind you, speaking of like car rallies and stuff, I saw quite a few Mark II escorts when I went out for the day on Saturday. I went to Barrow on Saturday, um, just because Jen and I wanted a day out, and there was actually a Cumbria Ford RS meeting, um, well, a car show up at Grasmere, up in the lakes. And if I knew that was on, I would have gone and vlogged it. However, I probably would have got wet because it was pissing it down on Saturday as well. But no worries, Diff. I'll catch you soon, mate. But yeah, anyone got anything else to tell me before I sign off for the evening? It's great to be live. It's great to really have this, you know. I don't know what it is, but I get a very good feeling when I'm live and talking to my community. I think it's because everyone treats me with respect and everyone enjoys it. So, you know, it is what it is. Oh, God, I am tired. But yeah, so I'm live Monday, Thursday, Friday next week. And if you can make all of the live videos, then good. If you can't, don't stress. But as I say, I'll have to double check the schedules, what the subjects are. You know, we were going to talk about btcc liveries tonight that I liked and what I didn't like. But however, I realised I've not done any preparation for it. But it is, the lives are always great. Mate, I appreciate Lee. I appreciate that, mate. I'm not gonna lie. There's been times where I struggle with content, but content's content, in it. But no, seriously, I'm really, really, really happy with how you guys really enjoy them. Hearing stuff like that makes me happy because, like I say, I can't do this without you lot. I think, given the ins and outs of certain things and how things push on, it becomes a reality. You know, it's never straightforward, is it? Doing a live video or sitting and talking about btcc, and you know, not everyone. You know, yes, people appreciate it, but not everyone's a big fan. But anyway, on that note, I'm actually going to call it a night here because I think you guys have done exceptionally well being here. I will see you at 9 p.m. Technical technology glitches are coming more and more common, even though it's 2025. Mate, I know. It annoys me because I want to push on, but we did the right thing going over onto here, and it was great to be on here. But yes, I will see you guys at 9 p.m. British summertime on Monday evening. I'll confirm the subject on our social medias. And I will see, if I don't see you Monday, I'll see you Thursday at the same time next week. And then, of course, Friday, of course, at the same time next week. But yes, I'll see you in a week. It is going to be hopefully a good rest of the week. I'll put some content out on our pages tomorrow and also over the week, so you know what's going on. But yes, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being stars. Thank you for being here. Thank you for persevering with me as well. I do apologise yet again, but stupid technology sometimes. But yes, guys, I'll catch you on Monday. Take care. Have a fabulous week. Enjoy yourselves. Be careful. Be safe. You know where I am if you ever need me. Take care, guys. Have a good night. Take care. Ta-ra.